Good day, ladies and gentlemen. It's Eric Coffin. I am here at the May 2022 Vancouver Metal Investors Forum. I'm here with Sharyn Alexander. She's the president of Sun Summit Minerals, a company I've been a long time follower, supporter, shareholder of. And Sun Summit trades on the venture under SMN and on the QB in the US on SMR, what is it? SMREF, right, okay, I knew it was something like that. Sun Summit is focused on a project in central, I guess, British Columbia called Buck, just south of the town of Houston. They picked it up a couple of years ago. They've done 3 or 4 drill programs now. One thing that I thought was interesting was because when Bob first picked Buck up, I mean, Bob, the CEO, who had a friend of mine for years, there was, there's some high grade here, but this thing's really about tonnage. And I think you're sort of, in the last little while, you're sort of going home again. I mean, you guys got some high grade hits in a couple of drill holes, and, traders got excited about that. But really, the story of Buck that you were clearly trying to reiterate in this presentation today is this is a big bulk tonnage target. That's what it is. One slide, you watched Sharyn's presentation today. One slide that I thought was really interesting is there's a slide that's basically the 0.2 gram grade envelopes, the grade shell, I guess, and the way that that's expanded every time you've done a drill program. And it's still pretty much wide open too, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, we've had a total of 5 programs since we've optioned the property. And with each drill campaign, we've discovered additional areas. So all of the drill holes have intersected some type of mineralization. With the latest drill holes that we released a few weeks ago, you can see that we've expanded the footprint to the west quite a bit. And so, yeah, again, to reiterate, this is more of a bulk tonnage system, large scale, large potential, huge potential for step out. For example, to the west and the northwest, we found some additional areas of more of that disseminated mineralization, as well as some of that mosaic breccia to the northwest as well. So a lot of potential there. And as well, with some of the previous drilling out east beneath the basalts, we have mineralization as well. And so, I mean, really it is unconstrained laterally and at depth. There's a lot of potential here.
Yeah, I think it's important that people understand that as a bulk tonnage system, there's, obviously, as the name implies, the whole point of the bulk tonnage system is you're trying to get economies of scale, and in order to do that, it's got to have the scale. It's got to be large. I mean, I think you drilled over kilometers strike, give or
yeah, just
the
mineralized envelope.
Strike.
Yeah, the mineralized envelope itself would be a kilometer, and that's just kind of what's modeled of this continuous mineralization. But a lot of these holes are still bottoming out in mineralization, and as well, we're getting more mineralization around the periphery. So I'd say that's a minimum would be a kilometer strike length.
Right, and one of the interesting things about Buck, I think it's I don't know if it's interesting for you guys. It's probably more of a headache for you guys. Is that this is a multi-phase system. I mean, they go from one spot to another, even within Buckmain, and the mineralization style changes quite a bit. And there's things like the mosaic breccia that I've never seen that anywhere else. It's very unusual looking stuff, but I find that stuff is very interesting too, because it looks like, some of them are vertical, but you've definitely got some of those zones that are kind of flat lying. I mean, they're pretty obvious starter pit material. Mm-hmm. But the other thing, you did some drilling. You just finished a program. You put some holes in a couple weeks ago. There's more drill holes coming. But the other thing that's coming in about 2 weeks that I think could be really important in terms of the ultimate evolution of the project, and you've been waiting a long time for these guys to show up, and that's the Airborne VTEM.
Yeah.
How big a survey is that?
So it's over our entire property, so that's 33,000 hectares.
Okay.
So it is quite sizable. And what we're using the VTEM survey for is kind of a first pass over the entire property to kind of fine tune some of these geochemical targets that we found. And so what the VTEM will do is kind of highlight the chargeability and resistivity. So that's sulfides, for example, in the rocks, which could be indicative of gold and other minerals. And so that, along with the geochemical surface sampling, that will really help us kind of narrow in on which targets are, priority, because there's very little outcrop We can't do traditional style prospecting. So having the soil geochemistry as well as the VTEM, the Airborne VTEM survey is going to be very pivotal for us.
Well, and I imagine with a property that size, even with the soils, it's probably big areas where even the soils are kind of, iffy. That whole region around Houston, which it's a well-known area for both porphyry and stockwork style gold copper systems. There's a lot of till there, right? There's probably a lot of you probably get areas on Buck where you could be staying on top of something, but it's just not going to show up in the soils. And
Exactly.
That's where the VTEM comes in.
Exactly. We have a lot of broad geochemical anomalies, but now we need to kind of fine tune, especially if we're looking at drilling, which we're hoping to get with our permit application. So in terms of drill targets, we want to have that, really vectored in. We have some pretty broad soil anomalies, but yeah, we're looking for whatever. That doesn't necessarily need to be a Buck style of deposit. There could be porphyries on the property. For example, just to the west of Buck, we found some great copper and silver in rock samples. So, there's a lot of different, mineralization potentials for mineralization in different systems in this property.
One thing too, I don't know whether you want to mention this. You know about it, I know about it. There is another company to the west of you that it's not, I don't know what they've said publicly, but it's not a big secret. They have several drill rigs. So presumably they found something. This is a producer, so it's not like a little tiny junior. It's a producer, but obviously I don't think they'd be doing that unless they found something. And that's not surprising. If you go in almost any direction from Buck, there's several different either resources or formerly mined areas. And I guess even now the prototype or the archetype for you is still Blackwater, right? That's kind of the closest.
Yeah, in terms of Buckmain, definitely the closest geological analog would be Blackwater. So that kind of, large scale bulk tonnage, we get similar grades, similar associations with zinc, for example. And so we're using a very similar exploration strategy. However, on the property, there could be different styles, porphyry coppers, it could be, silver, zinc, we're really keeping an open mind when we're doing our exploration.
Okay, and the idea here is the VTEM gets flown in a couple of weeks and it takes some time to filter and everything. I know it sounds like you're kind of getting to the tail end. Like you already have drill permits, and to be clear, there are already drill permits over Buckmain. There's already or still a bunch of targets there that need to be drilled. But in terms of sort of the big picture broad property, you're hoping to have sort of the property-wide broad multi-target permit in a month or two, about the same time probably that you finish getting the VTEM model and sort of tying that together.
Yeah, there's a few components with that, but we started the process early to get the property-wide permitting because we knew that would take some time. So it would be great if we could get that by the end of the summer, right, or before. But definitely we can still drill Buckmain and step out. We have a lot of drill sites that we can still drill. So nothing is going to be on hold while we're waiting for this permit to be approved.
Right, okay. So more drill results coming from the last program. VTEM starting in a couple of weeks. Those tend to go relatively quick. Whole bunch of new targets, I think, both ranking of the targets that are already known about, and I think we'll probably see a whole bunch of new targets. That's what usually happens when you find this kind of project with something like VTEM. And then you'll be off drilling again. You're funded for a pretty substantial program.
Yep.
So we should have news flow from here till year end, I guess.
Definitely.
Basically.
Yeah, we're well funded for 2022. So a lot of exploration news flow, a lot of planning for the summer, drilling and surface exploration. So we have a pretty exciting year.
Okay, so they're going to keep growing the Buckmain zone. Like I said, you should watch Sharyn's presentation and take a look at the slides where they have those grade shells. Those grade shells are getting fairly large. It's substantial tonnage already, wide open everywhere. Plus, I'm quite interested to see what comes out of this VTEM survey, because I think there's going to be a bunch of new targets. This is an extremely heavily mineralized area, multi-stage hydrothermal systems, and a lot of it's just under 2 or 3 or 5 meters of till, and the only way it's going to get found is with probably something geophysical, and you're going to have this huge palette to work with once it's done. Lots of news flow end of the year. Strong story. Like everything else, it's a bargain right now. So Sun Summit Minerals, SMN on the venture, SMREF on the QB, is it?
QB.
QB in the US. There you go. Go take a look and start paying attention to the news flow. There's going to be a lot in the next little while. Thanks very much.